Bit of a late start. Welcome to the Lewiston City Council regular meeting, October 28th, 2024. We'll call this meeting to order. First order of business, the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join us in saying the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Am I on Zoom?
Hannah's not going to be here, but I think Spicklemeyer might be online.
I believe we have Counselor Spicklemeyer on Zoom for us. Counselor Lickey is excused. And I'm imagining the mayor is too.
He's in
AIC conference, I think.
Sorry. Next order of business, citizen comments. There's an opportunity for citizens to address the council on agenda items or other items they wish to bring to the attention of the council. Citizens are encouraged to discuss operational issues in advance with the mayor. In consideration of others wishing to speak, please limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Do we have any citizen comments this evening? We have a microphone right in the middle of the room.
Hi, Dan Young, Lewiston. I am here to talk about 4538. I came a couple weeks ago. It's an ordinance relating to small lot subdivisions. And there's a couple requirements for tree planting, which is number 7. And there's also a provision that says that the garage has to be recessed from the house for 4 feet. If certain requirements aren't met, like side yard setbacks and that kind of thing. So I'm appealing to the council, I believe, to see if you can ramp things up with P&Z to see if we could get that ordinance changed. I might have to get help to see if I can, is it closed, the appeal period? To the attorney? Is the appeal period closed?
Council.
Thank you. Jennifer Tangano, City Attorney. For matters that are currently pending as far as the planning and zoning application, you would want to look at your reason statement for the date it was signed
Okay.
and the notice to applicant section as far as your procedure following approval or denial of an application.
Okay, so I can't speak to the specifics because of what was just stated, but I would appeal to the council to get some help to get the ordinance changed. Best of my ability.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Young.
you.
Anybody else?
Mark Steiner, also of Lewiston. I would rise in support of the council looking at ordinance 4738. What is it? 4538. Specifically, it's a section of code that really goes into overly being restrictive on what kind of house someone can build on a residential lot. More specifically, not just like the area lot coverage or anything like that. It starts to get into style, starts to get into the aesthetics, and the city code really shouldn't have a lot of purview over that. So that's why I think the city should take a look at that.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry, final comment, a little dyslexia kicked in there. The ordinance is 4835.
4835.
My apologies.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Okay, anybody else?
Bless you.
Bless you, bless you.
Okay, we'll start off with presentations. We have a monthly financial report. And I'm assuming Amy,
Amy Gordon, City Treasurer. This is a quarter-end financial report, so I do need to provide council an oral presentation. I have a short one prepared this evening. In addition to this being the financial report for the quarter end September 30th, 2024, it is also our year-end financial report. So you will notice throughout the presentation that I have preliminary on almost all the slides. That is because it takes us until about mid-November to close our books out for the year. We're in that process. One of the reasons why this was added to the packet so late is because we process year-end payables all the way up through the third week of October so that we can get all the invoices that are related to that fiscal year posted back to the year. And so we waited until last week to put the financial reports together for council so that we could give you as complete of a picture as possible at this point in time. But we are still making year-end adjusting entries, so there will be some adjustments to the totals of our financial data. They won't be, as far as the general fund goes, they're not going to be significant adjustments. I was working on our unemployment reserve account right before I came to city council this evening, and that entry does impact expenses, but a minimal amount. I highlighted our year-to-date revenues and expenses for the general fund, which is kind of a snapshot of how well we performed in our primary governmental fund. And in this, if you were to look at this page alone, it would show expenses exceeded revenue by $4.5 million. To just state that was a planned. We planned to use reserves in the original budget, and council made amendments to the budget this summer to allow for some additional spending of reserves. But what I do want to make certain that council's aware of is that includes all reserves of the general fund, including assigned. So in addition to unassigned fund balance that city council can spend on, that they can incorporate in their budget, we have some funds within the general fund that have very specific purposes that we have to abide by. And that's the assigned building fund. We have the opioid settlement funds within the general fund that have very specific purposes on how it can be spent, our narcotic reserves, and then our unemployment reserve. So when you kind of factor all those out, we're looking at about a $4.25 million reduction in the unassigned fund balance of the general fund. Please remember that's just an estimate at this point in time. I highlighted the capital fund for council tonight. Primarily and I apologize, that might be a little small to see. The first layer of the capital fund is parks and facility. And that is one of the accounts that we still need to make an adjustment. You can see we spent about $140,000 of a $3 million budget. Every year we amend our budget to incorporate what the airport is spending on capital improvements. That is an an auditor requirement for the city that we capture what the airport is spending on capital improvements because we are the owners of those assets. So even though we're not spending the money on the assets, it's still an improvement to our assets. So we have some entries we need to make to capture those investments into our assets. And we haven't gone through and reconciled our capital assets yet. Once we do, we'll be making an entry to that account. In addition, I have transportation highlighted, and there's a variance there on year-to-date spent compared to budget. There's a couple of reasons for that. The first is last year when council adopted the 2024 budget, at the final reading of the budget, council had made a decision to move about $1.6 million of property taxes from the general fund's assigned building fund over to transportation capital. And so amending the budget on the fly like that, we just appropriated it all out into capital transportation, even though there was no plan to spend it. In addition, throughout the financial report, you're gonna see on the capital line items, where your capital expenditures are going to be far below budget. There's a couple of reasons for that, because one thing that council might wonder is, well, why do we amend the budget if we're not gonna spend all the budget? There's a couple of reasons. One is, in order to be able to award the contracts, we have to have the money appropriated. So we come to council and we ask you to approve a $2 million contract. We need to have it in our budget to award that contract, even though we know that project will continue on into subsequent years. So once we get to the year end and we close out those POs, we reopen them into the next fiscal year and amend the budget to carry forward that project. And then the other reason is just that, is that we don't always complete our capital projects in the year that they were initially budgeted. So we have those carry forward amendments every year where we're carrying forward capital projects. Enterprise funds, this report is always a good report for council to keep and to refer back to, because the enterprise funds as well as the internal service funds, they function like a business financial statement in which they do capitalize all their assets. So as we work through our capital asset recons, we are zeroing out the expense accounts, the capital expenditures, so that we can record them to the asset account itself. So when you get your final reports at the audit time, the capital expenditures, a lot of those line items will be close to zero. And that's why, because the value of what was spent is going to an asset value rather than an expenditure account. That's really all I have tonight for a presentation to council, but I stand for any questions if you have questions on any other parts of the report.
Anybody have questions for Director Gordon? Counselor?
President. So for the general fund, your total, the percent, 93.47%, that's what we used of that amount. So how am I reading that right?
Yeah, the general fund, that grand total at the bottom to the far right, that percentage, that's the percentage of expenses to budget. So we were just under budget on the general fund as a whole.
Oh,
Each
okay.
department has their own budget within that fund, but we have multiple departments and activities within the general fund.
Okay, I was looking at that, that's like how much we used out of it, and we only had like a 7% remainder out of that budget, and I was like, that seems, so I misunderstood that.
So you'll, as you read through the financial report, you might see a specific line item that was slightly over 100%, meaning we spent a little more than that budget line item. But within that activity, you'll see overall, we're underneath the 100%. So we monitor that really closely, because sometimes we know something's going to go over slightly, so we look to have some savings elsewhere to compensate for that.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Thanks, Director.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll move on to public hearings and related, excuse me, action items. First up, public hearing. This is for ANX 24-2, CPA 24-3, and ZNC 24-3. It's accepting testimony on a request to remove a parcel of land located at 1125/1127 Warner Avenue from the Lewiston area city impact and annex into the Lewiston city limits, and that it be designated a comprehensive plan land use designation of neighborhood commercial and placed in the community commercial C3 zoning district, and amending the Lewiston area of city impact map accordingly. This is an action item. Assistant Planner Hollingshead.
Evening, Council. Tonight we have annexation 24-2, comprehensive plan map amendment 24-3, and zone change 24-3. And this is for two parcels, up on Warner, so 1125 and 1127. As usual, we're going to look at some maps and then some pictures, and then we're going to talk about this property. So subject property is outlined in black on the map in front of you. It is a county island. It is surrounded by city property on all 4 sides. Property currently contains 2 single-family dwellings and some accessory structures. Surrounding land uses include the city water tower to the east, and a little parking lot for some future community park areas. Lewiston High School campus is to the north. Ziggy's Building Supply is immediately to the west, and then there's a residential neighborhood to the south across Warner. So again, just a map of the area with the subject property outlined in black. This has our zoning layer turned on. So that red zoning layer that you can see surrounds the subject property on 3 sides is our C3 community commercial zone. The blue area that is to the east that has community park in it is our R3 medium density residential zone. And then to the south in that green color is our R2A, which is a low density residential zone. So like I said, property is currently located in Nez Perce County. It is a county island. Under Nez Perce County zoning, it is zoned as F1 farm. And it is in our area of impact as non-residential on our comprehensive plan future land use map. Those surrounding areas are also called out on that future land use map with a designation of neighborhood commercial, which allows for a mix of both commercial and some residential uses. And some photos of the subject property. So I'm standing at the southeast corner of the property. I'm looking west on Warner Avenue. You can see both of the dwellings that are located on the property. I'm at the southwest corner, so other end, looking east down right-hand side, residential neighborhood that is across the street to the south. And also, again, you can see those single-family dwellings that currently exist on the property, and you can see the water tower in the background. I'm kind of in the middle between the 2 houses, between 1125. Accessory structures that were in the process of being demolished farther north in the background. And a street view, I'm at that southwest corner of the property, looking west down Avenue. So that white fence perimeter is for the Ziggy's property. You can see the FW is that yellowish cream building farther down. And single family dwellings, like I mentioned before, these are directly across the street from the subject property. Property that is adjacent on the east side of the property. So I'm standing on the walking trail that is just on the immediate east side of the subject property, and you can see the water tower farther north. Northeast corner of the subject property. So there is a walking trail that kind of goes all the way around and then wraps into park. And so I'm looking southwest and the Ziggy's tower again. Boundary of that subject property. I'm looking south. Parking lot for our Lewiston. I am where it is adjacent to the subject property on the west side. So this is that northwest corner of the subject property where it meets up with their storage yard at the otherwise, they're just looking across the property at that same spot that you could see the Ziggy's. That is it for our photos. So the applicant's request is that the parcel of land located at 1125 and 1127 Warner Avenue be moved into the Lewiston area of city impact and annexed into Lewiston city limits, and that it be assigned a comprehensive plan land use designation of neighborhood commercial. which like I mentioned before, is that future land use designation for the surrounding properties. And that it be placed in our community commercial C3 zoning district, and that council amends the map accordingly. So a couple other items, property is approximately 4.89 acres of land. Like I said, is that county island. Our comprehensive plan does call out the county islands are most appropriate for annexation into city limits. This is a requested annexation by the property owner. As I showed on the first map with the zoning layer, it is surrounded on 3 sides by that community commercial C3 zone, so that would be an appropriate zoning designation for it, just following in line with that whole area. Our C3 zone is one that has additional items in it under the design standards that help to buffer any uses that occur in that commercial zone from neighboring residential zones. So it has things like, special conditions for certain uses. It has extra barrier items like fencing or site obscuring plantings, full cutoff lighting. There are a couple extra things to help buffer residential uses from the commercial uses that are allowed in that C3 zone. And a list of all the items that are allowed in that C3 zone was included in the packet. Our Warner Avenue is designated as a collector road, which is also one that is appropriate for low density commercial uses. There were improvements made at Warner and 12th Street intersection as part of the high school campus going in. That's where that roundabout is. And you can see in the photo, sidewalk has already been installed in front of the subject property. There's both water and sewer lines located in Warner, so that would provide easy access to those city services. And then annexation into city limits also provides access to things like police and fire responses. And further annexation of the subject property will add to the city's property tax rolls, which allows the property owner to help support the repair and maintenance of the transportation roadway that the occupants of the subject property are already using. It being that enclave of county within the city, they're already utilizing, city services, but since they are not within city limits, they are not helping to pay for those items. That I would stand for questions.
Well, I would offer that we kind of got a little ahead of ourselves. It's more of a staff presentation. We didn't open the public hearing.
Oh,
So at this time, we're going to go ahead and open the public hearing if there's anybody here that would like to testify. Favor of, against.
do I need to present again? Legal? Good, okay. I will take any questions if
Okay,
the council has them.
well, we'll go ahead and, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And yes, Council.
Jennifer Tangano, City Attorney. We still have to have the presentation for the applicant if they're here, and then the ability for the applicant to rebut any testimony received on behalf of this application for or against it as they see fit. So we'll have the applicant.
The applicant here.
We do have a representative for the applicant here.
Okay.
Good evening, Council. My name is Nuri Nimmer. I'm with Hodge and Associates in Moscow, Idaho. Here tonight as a representative for Merrill Enterprises. And Katie, thank you for the thorough presentation on the matter. I really, we don't have anything additional to add at this point. I'm certainly, can field any other questions you may have.
Any questions? Yes, certainly.
Do you have a plan for the land?
I am not certain what Mr. Merrill has in mind for the property.
Okay. So I guess at this time, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing.
Thank you.
Before you close the public hearing, Mr. Merrill did indicate in his application that he would be building storage units.
You would what?
Build storage units.
Okay. Okay. Oh, no more questions for staff?
Oh, I didn't have a question for him, but I have a question for staff.
Certainly.
Excuse me, sorry. To clarify, is the public hearing still going at this point? Because other questions for staff should be reserved only for during the public hearing. And once the public hearing is closed, there should be no more questions for staff related to this.
I believe I just closed it.
Oh, that's right.
Okay. So, yes, that's spelled out here on the next page. No additional evidence or testimony may be received once the public hearing is closed. We will go ahead and close the public hearing. First reading of ordinance 4929, considering implementing the city council's decision in ANX 24-2 to annex land in the Lewiston city limits. This again is an action item. Assistant Planner Hollingshead.
No presentation. This would just be approving the first reading of the ordinance associated with annexing the property into city limits.
Okay. We have a motion to approve the first reading.
I move to approve the first reading of ordinance number 4929.
Second. Any discussion? Amendments? Clerk? Oh, it's a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Aye. Carries 5-1, 5-0.
That was a nay vote.
Oh, you had a nay vote? It was 4-1.
I would ask him if that was I thought he was saying aye to just a delay.
No, I was a nay vote. He probably was an aye vote.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. I think he said aye.
Approving the first reading of ordinance 4929, an ordinance of the city of Lewiston implementing the city council's decision in ANX 24-2 to annex land into the Lewiston city limits and providing an effective date.
Thank you, Clerk. We'll move on to item C. This will be the first reading of ordinance 4930, considering implementing the city council's decision in ZNC 24-3, declaring that certain newly annexed real property be included in the city of Lewiston Community Commercial C3 zone, and amending the official zoning map of the city of Lewiston. This is an action item.
So this would be moving forward with, you just approved the first reading to annex the property into the city. So this is now to approve the change of zone to a Lewiston zoning designation, which would be the Community Commercial C3 zone.
Correct. Do we have a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance 4930?
I move to approve the first reading of the ordinance number 4930.
I'll second. Is there any discussion?
Discussion, can that be asking questions or is that only that?
Jennifer Tangano, City Attorney. If you have questions about the ordinance itself, yes. But if you have questions related to the application, then no.
It's based about traffic.
That would relate more to the application itself. And so that question would be a no.
Thank you.
Okay.
I just have a comment about the zoning change. It's sad that we're losing a more urban farm land, but if that's what the property owner want to do, and they feel that there is a need for more storage units, then it's kind of up to the property owner, I feel.
President?
Yes.
Just a comment. At the next reading, I don't have any issues with this as it stands, but I did have more questions that I was not able to ask because I didn't hear that we closed. And that's what my hesitancy until I had that answered was on this, and that is why I voted nay in the first reading.
Okay.
And I clarify too, Jennifer Tangano, City Attorney, the particular use of the property at this point is not under consideration because the property owner does have the ability to use it for any purposes within the specified rezone. And so typically, the use of the property at the time of the application, even though it's presented, is not typically a factor for consideration.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we have a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Bye-bye.
So you're aye.
Mhm.
Okay, so 5-0. And I'll move to first reading of ordinance 4931, considering amending section 39-1.
Council President Kleberg,
Yes.
can I read the first
Oh,
the
yeah.
ordinance
Good
title?
idea.
Approving the first reading of ordinance 4930, an ordinance of the City of Lewiston implementing the City Council's decision in ZNC 24-3, declaring that certain newly annexed real property be included in the City of Lewiston Community Commercial C3 zone, amending the official zoning map of the City of Lewiston and providing an effective date.
Thank you, Clerk. Okay, now we'll move on to first reading of ordinance 4931, considering amending section 39-1 of the Lewiston City Code to update the City of Lewiston area of city impact boundary map. And this is an action item. I'll entertain a motion.
May I thank you? Now, where am I? 31, okay. A motion to approve the first reading of ordinance number 4931.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Amendments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That motion carries 5-0.
Approving the first reading of ordinance 4931, an ordinance of the City of Lewiston amending section 39-1 of the Lewiston City Code to update the City of Lewiston area of city impact boundary map and providing an effective date.
Thank you, Tanya. Okay, we have another public hearing. Item E. This is the 2023 CDBG CAPER, accepting testimony on the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, the CAPER, for the 2023 Community Development Block Grant CDBG Program Year.
Hi. Good evening, President and Council. Melinda Rose, the grant manager for the city. Tonight I bring to you the CDBG Keeper. It's the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report. I've included in the slides a timeline, I guess. There you go. Just because it seems like we have a lot of CDBG stuff that goes on, and so I just wanted to kind of keep you at task of where we're at. So in February, we did the notice of the funding availability for the program year 2024. In April, we closed that announcement. In June, I came to you with the annual action plan for in response to those applications. And July and August is when we conclude the program year. In August, we start the program year. And in October is when we report on the previous program year. So the CAPER is for program year 2023 that just came to a close in July. So the program year goes from August 1st to July 31st. And in program year 2023, we expended $498,000 and $123 of CDBG funding on the following projects. The CAPER includes these programs, sorry, my voice is going, with the different dollar amounts that were spent on each project, and also the activities that were completed utilizing this funding. I believe it's one of the largest CDBG that we have had for the city of Lewiston. So our goals are listed 1 through 5, and the accomplishments that I've included, just kind of highlighting some of the activities that were completed. We assisted 7 households with the home repair program, and 3 additional homes are still in the process. The provide services for people experiencing at-risk and homelessness. The Lewiston School District really helps out with that and helping families that are at risk of being homeless with rent or utilities. Improve public facilities and infrastructure. We replaced degraded water main on 5th Avenue, and we funded the completion of ADA sidewalks at the Boys and Girls Facility. Providing public services and economic growth, the Willow Center provided services to low-income families benefiting 100 individuals, which was nearly double what was the goal. Habitat for Humanity established a tool library, which provides tools to be borrowed from the public. Interlink assisted 42 seniors with temporary ADA ramps or in-home modifications. And the Micro Enterprise Program successfully assisted 17 individuals, surpassing the original goal of 8 to 12, and that would be jobs. Used administration funding to provide training, and we gave training to HUD providers, housing providers, completed the 5-year consolidated plan, and we promoted the CDD program through the radio and some public meetings.
Anybody have any questions?
Just a
Councilor
comment.
Schroeder.
Thank you so much. You've done a great job, and we appreciate it throughout the community, what you have accomplished. Thank you.
Counselor.
Yes.
I just echo what Counselor Schroeder said. I know it's a lot of work to get all this together and make sure all the paperwork's in order and your ducks in a row in order to make it all fit. So appreciate all the hard work, and I know the community needs it. And so it's a good resource that we have, and it's a step in the right direction. So appreciate all your efforts.
Good program. Thank you. Anything else? Well, I guess at this time, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Next up is the
You
2023.
need a comment, right?
Sorry, do
Testimony from the public?
we have any testimony from the public? Further reminder. Seeing none, we'll move on to the 2023 CDBG CAPER. Considering approval of the 2023 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report CAPER for the City of Lewiston's Community Development Block Grant Program.
Council President.
Yes, Councilor Foreman.
Motion to approve the 2023 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, CAPER, for the City of Lewiston Community Development Block Grant, CDBG program.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? None?
Council President Kleberg,
Aye.
Councilor Schroeder,
Aye.
Councilor Forsman,
Aye.
Councilor Klein. Aye. Councilor Spiegelmeier.
Thank you, Council, and if I may, while I have a moment, I wanted to shout out for our micro enterprise program. We do have funding available for micro enterprise grants. Those grants are in the realm of $5,000. So micro enterprise is any small business that has under 5 employees and falls within a low income category, which might be the owner, the employees, or if the business falls within the opportunity zone. So I just wanted to give that shout out to let the public know that those funds are available.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thank you for doing that.
Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are considered routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion There will be no separate discussion on these issues unless the counselor so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered on the active agenda under items removed from the consent agenda. Do we have any? Okay, seeing none. Call for motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second. Motion has been made and seconded. Discussion?
Council President Kleberg,
Aye.
Counselor Schroeder,
Aye.
Counselor Forsman,
Aye.
Counselor Klein. Aye. Counselor Spiegelmeier.
Okay, that motion passes. Now we'll get back to some zoning. This is our active agenda. This is zoning code amendment, considering a request to initiate a zoning amendment to Lewiston City Code, Section 37-33, small lot development or zero lot line development pursuant to Lewiston City Code, Section 37-178. And this is an action item.
Council, Katie Hollingshead, Assistant Planner. So this speaks to what Mr. Young had brought up during public comment. So the request has been for the Planning and Zoning Commission to consider amendments to Lewiston City Code Section 37-33. This is not make amendments to the code section. This would not be wiping an ordinance. Mr. Young is actually utilizing portions of that ordinance to make the lot sizes what he would like them to be in his development. And so he's specifically asking for some reconsideration to the design standards that had previously been put into code.
So this will go back through, we approve, and it'll go back through P and Z and,
You would initiate a code amendment and it would go to planning and zoning for them to come up with something and send it back to you after public hearing.
okay. So, I don't know that we have specific language.
It should.
I think the motion to initiate zoning code amendment, right? Initiate, yeah.
Correct.
So that's,
Yes, you either move to initiate the zoning code amendment or you say, no, I don't want to initiate a zoning code amendment.
Okay,
so motion then.
we have a motion.
Motion to initiate zoning code amendment to Lewiston City Code, Section 37 through 33, related to small lot development or zero lot line development.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any other discussion?
Counselor?
Yes.
Just a comment. I think, obviously for me, the reason I'm wanting this to go back is we're trying to, well, I should say I'm trying, I'm not going to speak for the people, but I'm trying to make this business friendly and development friendly and trying to, those that are trying to develop a housing or a business, that we're making our zoning codes not too restrictive, that they're having to go through all these different hoops. And so just to lessen the burden, and I'm hoping that maybe with this new, as they brainstorm it and they bring it back, maybe we can come up with a better solution that doesn't seem so restrictive and not allowing for kind of some leeway. So look forward to seeing what might come about.
Okay. Anything else? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Councilor Ford. Item B. This is IFB-24-026 Pioneer Park Resiliency Project Playground Equipment Purchase. Considering accepting the quote submitted by Northwest Playground Equipment, Inc. under the NPP Gov contract number PS 21045 in the total amount of $206,241.97 and authorizing staff to move forward with the purchase. This is an action item. Yeah,
Thank you, Council President Kleberg and City Council. Shannon Grove, Community Development Director. I am, with the departure of Director Barker, I'm helping shepherd along some of these projects that are in the Parks Department. So you might see me over the next couple of months when it comes to these types of things. This has been worked on for a while. This is because of a commerce grant that we were able to get through CDBG, through HUD. Tim worked with Melinda to procure the funds. It's $250,000. And so this quote is for the equipment and a small shelter to go on the site. There is a site plan and the quote in your packets. And included on this project, but not on this quote today, is a drinking fountain that has dog-friendly portion to it, as well as some ADA parking stalls that will be done through our Public Works Department.
Okay,
Counselor President?
yes.
Question, I don't know if you can answer it, but for the shelter, are they, as the Parks and Rec group, trying to have that part of the reserve, like they can reserve it for a fund amount?
That's not this one. So the one in this quote is a smaller one. This is a 12 by 12 shelter. And I'm glad you brought that up because it is a possible. So we went through this today. We met with Northwest Playground. And when I say we, I mean park staff as well as myself, as well as purchasing. We may be coming back to you with a change order to this because we're looking at the possibility of doing a bigger shelter. You may remember during the budget process that council did approve a Pioneer Park shelter through the park reservation account. And so we may be coming back and saying, you know what, we have looked at this a little bit closer and we want to go with the bigger shelter instead of doing two shelters, a small one and then that other one. So stay tuned.
Okay.
And then what do they, is this for the layout in the pictures, the exact layout that they're presenting, or is that just kind of like an example?
It's kind of an example. The layout that they're showing here, obviously there's a lot more kind of room, if you will, once they get the equipment here. But it's just trying to show the different components to it.
So we can kind of piece it together once we decide.
We actually have them install it.
Well, I guess, I'm sorry, I meant piece together which play equipment we would want. So like I saw, like there's some swings on here that don't maybe look so robust for weather-wise. So I'm just wondering.
These are the ones that are quoted by Northwest Playground. And so it's what we have quoted here is what it is. It may not look exactly like it does on this picture though.
Okay.
I think there are more concepts, if you will, on those pictures. For example, the colors wouldn't be the same.
Right.
Yeah.
That could change. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, is there any kind of, sorry.
No, you're fine.
Is there any kind of, what do you call it, warranty or anything from, you know, if it falls apart or wears easily or something like that?
That I don't know. It might be in the bid docs, but I don't recall seeing warranty type things in there. We can definitely check with them when that comes, when we approve this contract, but I don't recall seeing that.
Okay, that's fine. I can wait on that. Well, this is good. I'm excited for it. I mean, obviously, I'm not disagreeing with it. I just wanted to ask some questions, so appreciate it. I'm all good now.
Anything further?
Excuse me, there is a maintenance warranty.
Oh, very last page.
Page 163.
Oh, yeah, very last page of my section.
I know, you got to get to the right page number.
Oh, yeah.
So there is a warranty.
So manufacturer standard product warranties apply.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Did we have a motion?
Yeah, we haven't made a motion yet.
Oh, I think,
May I make a motion?
yes.
All right, thank you. Motion to accept IFB-24-026 quote submitted by Northwest Playground Equipment, Inc., under the NPP government, GOV, I'm sorry, contract number PS21045 in the amount of $206,240 $41.97 and authorizing the staff to move forward with the purchase.
Second.
Can I make one last comment?
Mm-hmm.
And this is not coming from any, out of the city budget. It's all grant dollars. Okay, just want to make that for the public to be aware. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council President Kleberg,
Aye.
Counselor Schroeder,
Aye.
Counselor Forsman.
Aye.
Counselor Klein,
Aye.
Counselor Spiegelmeier.
Yeah, motion carries 5-0. Next, Resolution 2024-45. This is considering approving a LTAC local agreement between the Local Highway Technical Assistance Council, LTAC, and the City of Lewiston for the 2024 Local Children Pedestrian Safety Program, sponsor administration 12th Street, Warner Ave to Arroy Ave, and authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement to receive the grant funds in the amount of $250,000. This is an action item. Director Johnson.
Good evening, City Council. Dustin Johnson, Public Works Director. I think the description you just gave pretty much summarized the entire project. It was a project that's been in the works with city staff to design, but then this grant opportunity came up. We turned it in. So this one's a little different than some of our typical grants where there's not a match. It's just lump sum $250,000 to get the project done. We know it will be more than that, but we had funds we were going to build in-house, so everything's gravy from there. So it is a vital connector from Airway, which is Orchards Elementary, to what was improved with the high school down there in Warner. I think even Lance Hansen, the superintendent, mentioned this project when he spoke with the council, I think in a previous work session. So a project that has shown need and a grant that's available. So I stand for questions.
Any questions? Yes.
Just a comment. Awesome. This is so exciting. It's always exciting when we talk about things and we want to get them done and then we finally actually get to see it come to fruition. So, and the public gets to walk on it and feel it and be excited. So just appreciate all the work that your team and everybody goes through with getting these grants and boots on the ground and fighting for the city to make sure we're improving. So appreciate all the hard work.
Anything else?
Council President,
Yes.
a
Mr. Schroeder.
motion.
Motion's in order.
I move to approve Resolution 2024-45.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Seeing none?
Council President Kleberg,
Aye.
Counselor Schroeder,
Aye.
Counselor Forsman,
Aye.
Counselor Klein,
Aye.
Counselor Spiegelmeier.
Motion carries 5-0. Okay, and this is a RFQ 24-025, Reservoir Evaluations and Upgrades, Progressive Design Build, WR 071. This is considering approving the professional services agreement with T. Bailey Incorporated for reservoir evaluations and upgrades, Progressive Design Build, WR 071, and authorizing the mayor to sign the agreement. And this is an action item. Public Works Director Johnson.
Good evening. So I'm going to give a little bit of a history lesson on the specifics of what this type of contract actually means, why the city's choosing it, and then kind of what we're considering as specific to the project. So here I go. So Progressive Design Build is a unique method of construction or designing and construction. So typically a city would go out and solicit a designer, or we would design it in-house. We would put the plans and specs out for contractors to review. They would bid it. We would get the price. We would agree to it. It would be in our budget. We would give the contractor approval to go build it. What's unique about what we're talking about tonight is a Progressive Design Build where we have a owner's agent who comes in and consults the city about what the project should be, and they stay along as the owner's agent. They represent the city as a technical expert, and the city awarded a contract in February for us to proceed ahead and awarded with an owner's agent. So we moved forward collecting kind of what we were looking for in this type of work. We put together an RFQ. We solicited, interviewed, and we selected T. Bailey. What's unique about this, now that we have our team put together, we are working with the designers and the contractors to evaluate what the city's needs are, what our budgets are, prioritize, what the issues are that are identified within this, and then move forward with a firm contract to construct this. If this sounds somewhat familiar, this is the method of construction that we used for the water treatment plant. And I would say was an overwhelmingly success because of the timing of it with COVID. We were able to work with the designer, the contractor, come up with some alternative, because of supply chain issues. And so we're moving forward, and this is becoming more common in Idaho just because it allows the city to be on the front with both the designer and the contractor. And so instead of, and to be honest, a lot of there's, I'll get into the details of what these reservoirs are, but the details of how they're all from different vintages or different materials. They may come across something that, the city isn't really, we don't have structural engineers on staff, or we don't, have somebody who has high level emergency SCADA response issues. So we're bringing in experts to tell us this is a big issue, this isn't a big issue, this is what it would cost to fix. And so then we can adjust our budgets and our schedules and everything along the way as we get through to help better educate, our decisions as we start setting the budget. So specifically what this project is, the city operates 8 reservoirs. 1 is offline, so we currently operate 7 reservoirs. 2 reservoirs, the high reservoir I think we're familiar with, is not in this consideration because we just basically rebuilt it. The other reservoir that is not part of this consideration, I'm blanking on why Community Drive Reservoir, the one by the high school. We just finished the 1-year warranty on it, and so there's no reason to do any evaluations because we just built it. So there's 6 reservoirs that are listed. I'm not going to go through them individually. There's steel tanks, concrete reservoirs, and everything in between. The one that is offline is up by Southport 2, which is up by PK Metals, up on the other side of the airport. So that one is offline. That's part of the analysis to look if it would be in our best interest to bring it back online. It was just not needed. It's a smaller reservoir, and with some of our booster pumps and everything else balancing the system, we didn't really need it anymore. So we may reevaluate it and see if we get any benefits if we adjust the system to bring water where we might need it at different times. That was a lot of words, so I guess I will stand for questions if you have any.
I'm good. Yes, Councilor Forsman.
Motion to award
To approve.
this
Motion to award, I'm sorry, I'm the wrong one.
motion to award RFQ 24-025 to T. Bailey, Inc. and authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement between T. Bailey, Inc. and the city of Lewiston.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there further discussion?
Council President Kleberg,
Aye.
Councilor Schroeder,
Aye.
Councilor Forsman.
Aye.
Councilor Klein,
Aye.
Councilor Spiegelmeier.
Okay, motion carries. All right, move on to First Amendment. This is Owner's Advisor Reservoir and Upgrades Agreement. Considering approving the First Amendment to the Professional Services Agreement with JB Engineers for Owner's Advisor Reservoir and Upgrades and authorizing the mayor to sign the agreement. This is an action item. Director.
Again, so talking about the 3-legged stool, the city, the owner's agent, and then the design build team. And so, as I just said, that previous contract was for the design build team. Up to this point, we've only had an owner's agent, and their first contract was to just get us to where we're at today. Now, moving forward, our owner agent will be working with our design team and the city kind of as a facilitator to make sure that we get, the design. So they do a lot of, at this point, now that we've refined the scope for the RFQ to bring on the design build team, now they will be using, evaluating what their analysis are, concepts, and, facilitating meetings and things like that. So this is basically how progressive design builds work. You commit yourself to a certain point. And then once you get to that point, you have vetted out all your alternatives, and then you come back with an amendment to the agreement. So that's what this is. This will get us to, basically to construction.
Okay. Questions? Motion?
I'll make a motion. I move to approve the First Amendment to the Professional Services Agreement between the City of Lewiston and JUB and authorizing the mayor to sign the agreement.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Further discussion?
Council President Kleberg,
Aye.
Counselor Schroeder,
Aye.
Counselor Forsman,
Aye.
Counselor Klein,
Aye.
Counselor Spiegelmeier.
Yeah, motion carries. Now we'll move on to ordinances, second and third readings. This is ordinance 4927, considering enacting section 36-39 relating to approved connections to the city water supply for potable use. This is an action item. Nothing further. Okay, we've discussed this in the past.
Council
Yes.
President, motion?
We have a motion?
Motion to combine the second and third reading and waive the third reading in full of ordinance number 4927.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next up. We have a motion to approve the second and third readings of ordinance 4927.
Council President. Motion to approve the second and third readings of ordinance number 4927.
Second.
We have a motion and a second there. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Approving the second and third readings of ordinance 4927, an ordinance of the City of Lewiston enacting section 36-39 relating to approved connections to the city water supply for potable use and providing an effective date.
Thank you, Tanya. Okay, we'll move on to adoption and approval of ordinance summaries. This is ordinance 4927. Get a motion to adopt.
Council President. Motion to adopt ordinance number 4927 and approve the related ordinance summary.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion?
Council President Kleberg,
Aye.
Counselor Schroeder,
Aye.
Counselor Forsman,
Aye.
Counselor Klein,
Aye.
Counselor Spiegelmeier.
Okay, that carries. Items moved from the consent agenda, we had none. So I guess no actions needed. We'll move on to item 9, unfinished and new business, city councilor comments.
Council President,
Yes, councilor.
can I ask Chief Reitmeyer to say something? If that's okay? I promise it's not gonna put you on the spot too bad. So as I was coming to work today, I think there was a building fire in the orchards. So there's a lot of, obviously, firemen, trucks going up. And I have seen people in the past where they get kind of frantic and not knowing where to go if they can't go anywhere. And you're like, I can't get to the side of the road. What do I do? So can you give us a little public education on how, if they can't get off to the side of the road, what should they do to make sure they're staying out of your guys' way and allowing you to get to your destination?
Absolutely. Thank you. Greg Reitmeyer, Fire Chief. We did have a fire this morning at the early hours as folks are firing up their wood burning stoves and fireplaces. It's always important to make sure that you had your chimney cleaned and that you've had them inspected and you're ready to go. This fire got into the wall of the house, and fortunately the folks were still home and they heard it and called us early, and we were able to get there. As far as the response, anytime there's an emergency vehicle, police or fire or an ambulance, we ask that people pull over to the right shoulder as quickly and safely as they're able to. If you're in an intersection, continue through the intersection and then pull to your right. And the same goes for a roundabout. Go ahead and continue through the roundabout and exit where you were going to exit, and then you'll be out of the way and safely on your way. And we appreciate everybody doing that and yielding. We know that sometimes it gets confusing and there's a lot of vehicles. Also, once you're safely on the right shoulder, before you pull out into traffic, look for additional fire or police vehicles following. Several times we have multiple vehicles responding, and it's always good to check before you pull right back out.
What if you're stuck in traffic? There's nowhere to get.
Stuck in traffic is always a difficult one, and you do your best. And typically you'll see our drivers will discontinue using the siren and the horn because everybody knows they need to move. We do have some intersections in Lewiston that do not have traffic preemption, and so the light can't change, and that makes it difficult. And you'll see us at those times, we'll make the move into oncoming traffic and get around all of the turn lanes. And I think that surprises sometimes when people see we'll go all the way out around the left-hand turn lane and then we turn right, and that's because the law does require you to pull to your right, and so we typically will not pass on the right unless we're really kind of stuck to that.
You're basically okay to stay where you're at if you have nowhere to go.
Stay where you have it, but try to move as people in front of you move and make way, and we understand that unfortunately, there's no invisibility button that any of us have in our cars yet. We'll see if Mr. Musk is going to figure that one out, but you never know.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
I just have one comment.
Yeah.
Pumpkin Palooza
Oh, yeah.
was big fun. I didn't stick around for a real long time, but there were a ton of kids down there wearing all sorts of costumes, and it's a fun event. Anybody else? Okay, we'll move on to the mayor's comments. He's not here. City boards and commissions liaison updates. You have any for tonight?
Council President.
Yes.
The historic preservation meeting, I was unable to attend only because I got confused with my other meeting and I thought they had canceled it, and then I realized I had missed it. I did write them and asked if they had anything to share, and I didn't receive an email back, so I'm assuming they don't have any news to share, but I will report back at my next meeting. MSAB meeting we had this last week, and we're going over codes, and we have some new members. We're almost a full board now. We're missing one. So that's good, and we've been working hard for that. And that's pretty much it on the MSAB front. Public's welcome to come. We never get public, so if you can. It's every, oh my gosh, it's like every 2 months or something. I'll get back on the timeline, but you can look on the city website and it'll say when we're going to have our next meeting. We are going to have 2 other special sessions coming up to go over, to try to have the code and everything looped up by the end of the year, so.
Okay. Thank you. Agenda topics. You have any you want to bring forward? Well, seeing none, we'll look for a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.